when parents decide that they want to do Montessori, they want it all and they want it now.
Ooh.
Just like fast food. They've heard all the benefits. Montessori kids are creative. They're independent. They work quietly by themselves, I guess. They're critical thinkers. And helping develop these skills is a time-sensitive, very limited period in a parent's life because children are growing up so fast.
That's
And
right.
so it's not something that you can wait on, and parents know this. And they come to us, they come to other Montessori vendors with this expectation that they know this is the time to do Montessori. You've got to do it. You're either going to do it or you don't do it because time with children is so fleeting. But if you want to do Montessori and you want to do it right and you really want it all, it cannot be a happy meal. It can't. You just can't order it up. You have to engage with it slowly and thoughtfully and methodically and work on it as a practice.
Yeah, that's right. It's not a box of wooden materials or a preset routine or something you can download. I mean, I know they've tried many times to make the perfect Montessori app. It just doesn't work because Montessori, like all education, is about the dynamic process of understanding your child. So
Right.
your job isn't to deliver the Montessori, it's to co-create that environment with your child. And you're going to use your knowledge of the sensitive periods and their interest and their readiness to guide them along that path. So it is not fast food, right? It's not made on an assembly line. There's not a big rush to get it out or it'll get cold. It's a meal. It's a fine meal. And your child is the chef. You're not the chef. It's your child. You are the sous chef, the assistant chef. You're the one who's preparing the environment, watching and adjusting, making the kitchen work in general. And from all that magic comes a delicious meal. And it is a happy meal.
It is a really, really happy meal. But it's not necessarily fast.
No, and there's no toy prize at the bottom.
All right, so I'm going to envision, if I were to envision the actual Happy Meal as a real Montessori meal, we would be reaching in, we'd be pulling out our observation toolkit. Like we're using our powers of observation, and what else would be inside? We're using our
Our knowledge of the sensitive periods.
I think our knowledge of the scope and sequence too.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
Yeah. Like what the progression of knowledge and understanding that a child will go through.
Yeah, yeah.
right.
Well, we're also pulling out a whole lot of trust in the child, willingness to make mistakes as well. And it is something that takes time for us to learn. Now,
Yeah, what you're not looking for is a million cheeseburgers served in like an hour.
right.
Right? Like you can do that, but you've got to then uniformly, precisely, homogenized, produce them.
Yeah.
And that's not what we're after, right? That's why a lot of standard approaches to education don't work. They really are, to a large degree, whether they admit it or not, working on a fast food model.
They are. They are. There are lots of really great Montessori resources out there, and some of them do come in boxes, but that's not what we really are talking about when we talk about a boxed curriculum.
No.
In the homeschooling community, a boxed curriculum, send you a box. It's full of supposedly everything that you would need to teach your child for the entire year. Oh my gosh, that would be crazy if that actually worked. And it actually just it's not compatible with Montessori. So if you're wanting to do Montessori, that doesn't work. But what we're not talking about is Montessori resources that come in boxes.
No, I mean,
Yeah, there are
just because
lots
it comes in a box isn't a bad thing.
Materials come in boxes. There are lots of creators out there who you can order cards from and stuff, and they will come in boxes, and that's great. We love Montessori resources. Bring in all the boxes.
I also
because
love
you know what?
cheeseburgers.
The more boxes you have around the house, the more creative your kid is going to get with them. And so win for boxes.
That's right.
But box curriculum isn't going to be the way that you can follow your child. And in
That's
the
right.
general homeschooling community, there are a lot of these systems out there that claim to be all-in-one and in fact are not really all-in-one curriculums.
Yeah, it's just an overpromise, right? There's a sense, I think at the end of the day, it's a sense that you can, if you give enough stuff or whatever, then you'll have filled the gaps. And it goes with this whole idea we've talked about many times, which is that we think the materials themselves are going to do the work, or that if we have really great worksheets, it's going to help them learn mathematics or whatever. Like, or just the right book will turn the child on to reading. Like it doesn't work that way. It's a process that requires effort, skill, creativity, a lot of trust, a lot of fun. You have to really lean into it. So there's a lot of overpromising in the educational community. The
Yeah.
fact is that education is unique. It's unique to your child. And when we embrace that, it becomes truly happy.
But oh no, it sounds like it's very complicated now. There's so much to consider, the sensitive periods and the scope and sequence, and it's unique. How can we all make it work and make it feasible for parents? Let's give two examples of two different, totally different types of children. And we're going to make Montessori work for them.
Okay.
And it's going to show you that it's not as complicated as it sounds, but it does require an understanding of the Montessori method.
That's right.
Are you ready?
I am ready. And I also want to encourage all of you who are watching live, if you have your own scenario that you would like us to think through, pop that in the chat. We'd love to see it. Okay.
Okay, give us
So
the
this is
first
going to be
one.
familiar. These are, imagined children, but I think they'll resonate. So our first child, we're going to call him Leo. He's about 3.5, and he's always moving. He's moving, 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 moving. He's very curious and deeply kinesthetic. If you put him in a room, he's going to find a way to jump. He's going to find a way to run around. He's always climbing and scooting. He wants to get into the water. If there's a puddle, he's going to jump in that puddle and make a big splash. He's always looking for a way to get those wiggles out. And he's really resistant for sit for a long time and do some fine motor work. So, if you want to put him in front of let's say you want to do some coloring, he's not interested in the coloring. He wants to run around some more.
Be chased and play tickle
fights.
And hop onto your shoulders and be carried around.
That's right. So you might have a puppy, like a Leo, in your own life. And, we love our puppies, but sometimes we really feel like we need to give those puppies a lesson. And let's say in this scenario that we want to give them a sound game. It's a classic activity.
It's a level 1.
Yep, you give it pretty
activity.
early in the curriculum. It's essential for reading and writing and other skills. So it's a really important one, but poor Leo, he just can't sit still long enough to take the lesson. He just wants to throw the object. So you give him some objects to do the sounds. Whoa, pew, 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 pew,
Starts banging them together.
Yeah, now they're making a sound. And they're like, is he even ready for this? What am I doing wrong? Okay, so what should we do with poor Leo?
Okay, we're going to say our focus is we want to give Leo a sound lesson.
Yes.
To develop his auditory skills. He's already 3.5, and we know that he's in the period where he's hearing sounds, and we want to develop that. We're not ready to teach him how to read exactly.
No.
But we're having him listen to
Pre-reading
sounds.
activity.
Yes. So here are some things we can do with Leo. So the first thing I heard over and over and over when you were talking about Leo was he is prime for gross motor skill development right now.
Yes.
Okay. It's not that he can't learn the auditory skills as well, but big gross motor movement is paramount for him. And so we can think, all right, what are some ways that we can use that energy to help him to learn his sounds as well.
Okay.
Okay, so we're thinking, I know that this was a very controversial move for our family, but at one point I did purchase a mini trampoline for our living room.
Yes. Yes, you did.
Yes, I did. Remained controversial. But yeah, Leo needs to move. And
Leo needs
so,
to move.
can we play those sound games while Leo is jumping or running around? Maybe we take this lesson outside and, while Leo is engaged in some kind of gross motor physical activity, we start to incorporate some of those sound games, right? Like in the environment, in the space where he is.
Yeah, in the space you have, we bought that little mini tramp because we've lived in cities since we left
Yeah.
Dallas, where we had like a lawn. But since then, we've lived in pretty small places. And so that mini tramp, as much as I didn't love seeing the mini trampoline in the middle of the living room for years,
Replaced our coffee table.
it was actually super useful. It was a great way to let our little Leos get their wiggles out.
Yep.
Another idea.
Sometimes we did it. We definitely, I actually learned the trampoline trick from another homeschool mom who bought one. She also had two little boys at home, and she showed me which one that she had, and she said, this thing, like, we do so many lessons while they're jumping, you would not believe it. They learned, they did math on it. They talked about history. They had conversations while they were jumping.
I mean, as much as I was like, oh, haha, the fact is that this is a great technique and it works for a long time, especially with boys who sometimes are reluctant to talk and open up unless they're doing something. So if you have a teenage boy or a preteen boy and you're trying to get to maybe share with them, maybe not a trampoline, but could be a trampoline. Do something physical. It really works. It's certainly going to work for Leo. Okay.
But that's not the only way to incorporate movements.
I was going to say, well, how else could you do it?
Yeah, okay, so there's this really cool thing we do in Montessori. When we are giving a lesson, I know that you probably go online and you see demonstrations of lessons by teachers, because it's really hard to model this online. I will say, like, teachers are doing a great job out there who, are demoing the Montessori lessons on YouTube and, sharing what they're doing with their kids in blog posts and on Instagram and all. But it's really hard to actually demonstrate how it works in real life. But one of the classic techniques that we can employ, especially that works really, really well with those young ones, is to get them physically moving, going from one side of the room to the other. So with the sounds, something that you could do that, is not just kind of a pure ethereal only in the ears, is to make it really tangible and to give Leo something to do. And so you might say, in our kitchen, is something that begins with, what is it? I left it on the counter for you. And then Leo's going to run into the kitchen, look on the counter, and he won't have to think himself about what starts with because you'll have already put a muffin on the counter, right? And then he'll grab the muffin and he'll come back and he'll bring it to you and you'll say, muffin, right? And you'll be making that sound connection, also engaging Leo's senses and giving him something physically to go and do. So for him, it feels purposeful, even though you know that you're teaching a sound lesson.
Yeah, so you might say, you know what I really want with my muffin is I want something. Maybe there's something on the counter that starts with a sound. He goes and he gets a plate.
Oh, it's like, it's not going to be a potato.
No, but you can bring that plate back and you put your muffin on the plate. Yeah, so it becomes useful. Your kids will love this. There's variations of this too, like a fetch game that we play.
Yeah. Also called the Bring Me game.
Yeah, Bring Me game. Yep, those are really fun. And it's a great way to kind of get that big kinesthetic wiggly kid engaged. All right, another one is go outside.
Right.
Right. So you can classify anything, including natural objects that you find out in the world. So go out there, have Leo run around and collect some fun stuff, and then bring those back and classify them. Oh, look, here's all the leaves. Here's all the leaves. Here's all the rocks. What else would you classify from outside? Flowers.
Sticks.
Sticks. big. Oh, you could even, there's all kinds of variations on this too, though. Like we just heard that story last week about the mom who was waiting for the dad to come out. And what did the little guy do? He ordered rocks from big to small. So outside work that really engages the big
Okay.
senses.
I'm thinking this is also a great time to bring in some alliteration into your general language. And so as you were talking about bringing those nature materials in, I was thinking maybe emphasizing like these are red rocks, right? And just encouraging him to hear the r sound in both of those.
Yes.
Or like maybe bring some sticks and stones, and you emphasize that sound. So it doesn't have to necessarily always be an I Spy game. I think parents kind of get tripped up with that. The I Spy game is great. It's 100%, in one of our level 1 lessons for reading and writing.
It's a real deal.
But there are many, many variations on that concept of I Spy. And a lot of that just does come down to making your child aware of hearing the sound.
Because that's the purpose. The other thing that we would advise is maybe delay some of that pencil-based activity. If the wiggles just aren't going away yet, maybe instead of jumping into sandpaper letters, offer something simpler, like maybe sand tray with the finger or a chalkboard, maybe using the metal insets, doing things that might be a little bit easier for someone who's kind of wiggly to manipulate.
I'm not sure what you mean on that one.
It's as though we don't rehearse. I mean, like if your little guy just cannot sit still and hold that pencil and do some tracing work or draw neatly, maybe they're just not even ready to do the coloring.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Sorry.
Sometimes you just want to give them a little bit bigger, looser, more tactile experiences. So that maybe like water play,
maybe you're
doing tracing in a sand pit.
You're outside, you're using your fingers to draw in the sand or in the dirt, right? And so you're not going right to the metal insets or the sandpaper letters.
Right.
Yeah, you're waiting.
Yeah, you might be doing something, I can imagine, I mean, again, you're going to follow your child, but it could be that you then introduce something where, tracing around an inset is simpler than freehand writing, and that's a step anyway. So kind of progressing along. So another good idea that we have here is from Petra says, my daughter's like that. She's like the Leo, I think. She sits on my lap. I think it's her way to sit still, and she still listens to everything. That's proximity, physical touch. That's an awesome way. It goes with that idea of movement, right? Because movement is about moving the body, feeling the body, big sensorial expressions, a big hug or warmth of the mom or dad or whatever is also part of that as well, and can be very comforting. That's going to be a good time to maybe start to introduce some of those more fine motor skill activities too once they get ready for it.
That's right. And if you are here and you have a little one, just know that in Montessori, like developing the ears, strengthening those motor skills with practical life activities and sensorial work is so incredibly important, much more important than the actual writing process.
Totally.
And I think a lot of people, you want the whole happy meal and you're like, I'm going to do Montessori and that means sandpaper letters. Maybe not yet. Wait a little bit.
Sitting on your lap and doing soundboard books for a long time can be okay, right? Because you're just training the ear, you're having that emotional connection. It's good learning. Yeah, totally.
Yep.
All right.
Okay, so using that approach, you're going to take Leo from being this wiggly child who doesn't ever listen to you and doesn't want to pay attention to a lesson to a child where you have integrated in the things that are already important to Leo's development.
He's still wiggly.
And you are going to see... But you're going to see a change. And the change is going to be in your expectations of what Leo is capable of. You're going to automatically assume that if it's going to be a sit-down activity, you're going to be ready and willing to adapt that lesson and incorporate movement in. And to just appreciate Leo for the
wonderfulness that Leo is.
Human being that he is right now, which is a very wiggly and movement-needing person, and to trust that as he grows and develops, your lessons will get longer and he will pay more attention.
Wiggly Leo will not always be Wiggly Leo.
That's right.
But
You know,
he
you
can
just
learn a lot from you during this practice. You're going to hear these sounds come out in his play.
it doesn't mean that the Montessori is not working. You are making Montessori work for Liam.
Okay, let's talk about a different kind of little guy.
Let's talk about little girl.
Okay.
All right, so I'm imagining a child right now based on an example from many, many, many of the stories I've heard from the members in our community. Let's call her Aria. Aria is a quiet child. She really loves holding the hand of her mom and dad and walking together, but she tends to be very cautious. She's shy of strangers, but she pays attention. She's about 5 years old, and so she has the ability to concentrate, but she seems a little hesitant to do the lessons that her parent is presenting to her. So here's what happens. So parent starts to present something and encourages Arya to maybe start doing a little writing with the movable alphabet. You know, here's the movable alphabet. Here's what it can do. Arya won't touch it. And the parent knows that Arya is capable of it. She's a smart cookie. She has her auditory development, has long been developed. She can I spy things. She knows her sound. She knows her letters. She's got lots of things to say, and she's very curious about the world. But for some reason, when she starts using the movable alphabet, she just gets really frustrated really, really fast.
Oh boy.
And you start to see like the tears come a little bit, or maybe she just pretends like she's not interested in it and doesn't care. Maybe she insists that a parent do that work instead.
You do it. You do it.
And just refuses and just says, I'll watch while you do it. Or maybe she, will eye it, but then go to something else instead. But she never goes and chooses that movable alphabet herself, even though she has the capability of it.
You see the signs of readiness. Everything is pointed to yes. She sits down to do that movable alphabet, and nothing
just
happens.
Frustration, immediate frustration.
She wants you to do it. She doesn't want to do it. She walks away. Something. Okay. What could be going on here?
Okay. The number one thing that is probably going on is some kind of internal confidence that has not developed yet. She is getting trapped in perfectionism. It is preventing her from showing you what she really can do. Even what she can do, but she doesn't believe that she can do it yet. Okay.
I think a lot of adults can relate to this. We all... It's amazing how similar children and adults really are.
It really is.
Really think about it. Yeah, that sense of overwhelm, sense of imposter syndrome.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Little guys feel that too, just as much as we big guys do. So if you understand, so the movable alphabet came in your Happy Meal kit and you took it out and you're like, I guess nobody likes this toy prize.
Right.
That's not necessarily the case. What you need to have is you got to apply that understanding of the Montessori method and make some adaptations. So, for example, you might reduce the overwhelm by reducing the number of letters that you provide to her so that it's only the letters she needs to build certain words. So don't give her the full movable alphabet. Don't even give her 10 letters.
Yeah.
Just give her CVC letters that make a variety of simple CVC words.
Yeah. Now, another trick to this is to only give her the letters to write. This is, we're not talking about all children here. If your child is raring to go with the movable alphabet, then let them write whatever they want.
Right there, right.
But if we're talking about an Aria who is very, very cautious by nature and needs a lot of confidence building first, she's going to want to have seen the words in written form and be super familiar with them before she starts writing them with the movable alphabet. And so you might not only give her only the letters that she needs, pull them out of your box, put them in a separate, put the box away. It's too many letters. Only get out the letters that she needs. And then make sure that she can read those words first. So you're going to give her, let's say we're working on ought words. So you'll show her the word pot got, mott, tot,
Lot.
lot, and they could be made up words as well, zot, whatever, so that she has seen them physically. And then you're going to demonstrate the whole lesson first. You're going to show her how to write those words. And she will be able to, correct herself, like with a little visual, like you'll have the written word there.
You
You'll have
wrote
written it.
B-O-T, bot, like robot.
And then you're going to word build for her. And so is she capable of hearing the word and then just writing it flat out, finding the letters? You know that she is, but she doesn't know that she is yet. And she needs this extra step of support and practice in order to build the confidence. And so are you giving her a work that's too easy for her? Yes. And you're doing it on purpose.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, the books are right for Arya, like she is the right age and you're seeing the signs of readiness. But as the educator, parent, what you know about your child, your little Arya, is that she needs that little bit of extra help. And it's not a failure to give a little bit of an easier assignment at the start to build that confidence. We all have to walk before we run.
That's right. But there are other things that you can do as well. So you're reducing overwhelm by giving her a certain number of letters to work with, not the whole box. You can also do a thing that is super, super effective that we teach in our courses that, if you're a member and you have forgotten, I want you to make note of this, get out your pencil. This is really, really important. When you are working with the movable alphabet with children and you want to give them a way to have build in that control of error. You might be thinking the movable alphabet, there's no control of error here unless I, show them how something is spelled. You don't have to do that. Just read it back to them the way you see it phonetically spelled.
Yes.
And so if your child has written something and it is incorrect, they can correct their own mistakes when you read it. And so you're just going to go letter by letter and read it out loud, and your child will hear if they have missed a letter.
So, for example, what? Like they want to spell the word dog and they spell DG.
Yeah, I guess you would read it dig, dig. And they would say, no, I meant dog. And you would say, oh, you meant dog. And they would say, oh, yeah, aw. It goes in between these two. And then they will pull out that O. Another way to build in that control of error is if you only give them the letters that they need to make the exact words, and they're not just, writing freely, but, you're going to give them specific words to write. And here are, maybe you give them some objects, and you've got like a dog and a pig and a cat. You're going to give them the letters that they need to make dog, pig, and cat, and no more. And if they have any extra letters, they'll know that they missed one. And so that's a way that they can look and say, oh, the I is still left. It must go in here somewhere. And so it's almost like solving a puzzle. And Arya will really love that. She'll feel very secure knowing that she has a way to correct her errors. And that if she does make a mistake, that she can figure it out without too much trouble.
Yes, that's right.
And not feel bad about it. Last thing that you should do for Arya, as often as you possibly can, is make mistakes in front of her.
That's right.
And this can be everything from, oops, I forgot to put this last dish in the dishwasher. Oh, well, I'll get it next time. Okay, easy mistake to make. Very low consequences. To working with the movable alphabet in front of her and you making a mistake or forgetting, to spell something correctly, and then correcting yourself by reading it back out loud to yourself, hearing the sound that you forgot, and then going back for that extra letter. Okay. And, this is a modeling process that Arya needs to see in order to feel like she can make those mistakes, and that the stakes for making mistakes is a lot lower than she thought.
Yeah, that it's just a natural thing, and even mommies and daddies make mistakes.
That's right. So anyway, and also, again, just like with Leo, to trust that Arya is on her own journey. She's got a lot of perfectionist tendencies, and that's a temperamental trait, so that might carry with her a little bit, but it's not going to ruin her life. There are good things about being a perfectionist in life as well. I think that could describe many a ballet dancer you know, or writer, or you know, it's not a
Athletes or
bad thing.
scientists. Yeah, I mean,
That's right.
perfectionism isn't necessarily, it's when it controls you
Right.
and limits you. And that's really what they're trying to teach, right? Like it's good to want to do it correctly, to be right.
Right.
It's nice, but it's also important to know that you weren't always going to get it right. And actually, if you got it right from the start every time, it wouldn't be very much fun.
That's right.
So the joy in life is the learning of it. And so making mistakes is an important part of that process. And you're just kind of trying to help Aria lean into that and let go a little bit.
That's
Yeah.
right.
All right. So we have a comment. Oh, it's Vidya. Hello, Vidya. It's happy to have you with us. I know that you are visiting another part of the world and you have a chance to join us live. So happy to have you with us. Okay. So it's not a Happy Meal, right? The Happy Meal came with the book and the movable alphabet or whatever, the book and the thing, and it said, okay, this is what you do. Your child is 5.5. Your child should be doing this, and that's how a lot of school is organized. And you know, yes, there are general guidelines. We know that a child at a certain age should, in general, be ready for certain things. It is not precise. It is not precise. It is a range. And that range is determined by your child's personality, their readiness, their maturity. And just because they're not at that point does not mean that they are broken or wrong or that you're doing something wrong. And frankly, a little bit hard to hear. Just because they're past that doesn't mean that they're super gifted. It just means that they're stronger in certain areas than others.
That's right.
And over time, those things will even out, or you'll see what emerges as their areas of brilliance and beauty. So it's not a Happy Meal. It can't come out of the box and you just do it. Instead, you have to know the technique. You've got to know what's going on. You need to understand how to deliver those modifications as you're seeing it. And you need to do it in a way that's fun and family friendly.
That's right. And there's no boxed curriculum, all in one boxed curriculum that can do this.
That's right.
You as the guide are the one to implement the full method. And honestly, it makes us super, super happy. It makes us so happy that we keep developing and working on this curriculum that we are offering our members here at Child of the Redwoods.
That's right. So, of course, we're very proud, and we're very proud. We know we have some members watching us. We're super proud of the curriculum we make. This month we did Dandelion. Next month we're doing Pets. It's going to be really fun. We have a whole bunch of really cool stuff coming up over the year. We love making our study packs, and we loved writing our core curriculum. But that's not the heart of our approach. What we wanted to do as an organization when Aubrey and I set out to create Child of the Redwoods is we wanted to make sure that every parent, every mom and dad out on the earth who wanted to use the Montessori method could. And that meant, yes, a good curriculum, a great scope and sequence, but also the confidence and knowledge and joy that comes with knowing the Montessori method. And so our approach to teaching Montessori and to helping parents learn and use Montessori is focused around that. It is a good curriculum, but it's also the how to use it. And if you're interested in learning how to spot these kind of challenges and figure out those adaptations, like for Leo and Aria and your own little guys at home, you can do that. If you join us, this is a great time to do so because we're about to launch our coaching schedule for the fall and spring, where we're not only going to show you all the different lessons in the core curriculum, we're also going to work with you in small groups to help learn how to apply those techniques in your actual home on a daily basis. And this is a full year program. Like we're doing this, we've actually changed our coaching a little bit for the 2025-2026 season. It's going to be a full school year of coaching for both primary and the lower elementary years from September to May. And this coaching is completely included, along with a lot of other really great offerings inside our unlimited plan.
That's right.
So the unlimited plan has all of those awesome study packs we've talked about in the past, the full leveled curriculum, so for ages 2 to 9, plus access to the community, plus all sorts of special fun events and our planning, and as an unlimited member, all of that additional coaching and all the additional workshops and all the additional stuff that comes with it that really is going to make you a superstar in terms of applying the Montessori method in a real way in your home.
That's right.